important thing that we need to do is to have an introduction. This is financial accounting. Financial accounting. Accounting. And before I begin, first of all, I would say that I'm Mr. Odongo. I'm Mr. Odongo. Just call me CP Odongo. That will be okay. The second thing is that I think we need a representative. One of you will take over as a representative, either Mark or Flo as our representative. So this is my number, and I think I'm in the group, so that is we can last when it comes to what we require as learners. So the first part is just basically to give a presentation on what we expect in terms of financial accounting. And you know, basically, majority of this paper is based on calculation. So there is a theory aspect of it, but majority of the paper is basically calculation. I'll start by the unit description. The unit description, what we expect. Unit description, what do you expect on this unit? So at first, very important is basically this unit is intended to introduce learners to a number of things. One of it is the purpose of accounting. Why do you do accounting? Purpose of accounting. Purpose of accounting. That is the first description, is overall to introduce the student to what we call purpose of accounting. Applicable regulations, applicable, what do you call applicable regulations. Some of the regulations that are there, we know that IFRS, accounting standards that we have will be introduced to that, We also have what we call accounting treatment, what we call accounting treatment. How do you treat, for example, accrual and presentation, accounting treatment and presentation. How do we treat, let's say, a number of things like accruals? How do you treat prepayment? How do you deal with accrued income? How do you deal with prepaid expenses? It is intended for students to understand a number of things. But also at the end of it, we also need to understand the public sector accounting. What do you mean by the public sector accounting? For those that operate in government entities altogether, public sector accounting, we also basic transactions and the basic transactions, what we call basic transaction, and preparation, and analysis. We're going to go through a number of accounting statements, the P&L, how do we present those P&L? How do we present the statement of financial position? And how do we analyze statements? How do we analyze the statement? Maggie, I can see, I'll try and write in a big way. Let me just repeat there, preparation and analysis. Analysis aspect of accounting, this is where we have the ratios, When you talk about the profit ratios, when you talk about liquidity ratios, are we together? We are going to do analysis also. We're also going to talk about aspect of analysis. And when you talk about this FA2 stretch, the concept is basically more or less the same as the ATD2 for those who are doing ATD2 and this class. But for those who are doing ATD1, we are going to learn and extend even more, because ATD1, you don't have the ratios. And even the basics that you do on partnerships, they do not fall under now the admission of partners, retirement of partners, dissolution of partnership, but it's very good if you're in ATD1 and you're here, it's very good to learn that concept when we are here, because that will help you as you extend to ATD2, and as you move to ATD3, we know that you're going to go to the intermediate. But basically, if you learn through everything, for those who are doing ATD1 and they're learning those ratios, it means that HED2 is going to be much easier. So when you're doing the ratios, though they're not part of what you're supposed to do, please stay in tune so that you don't miss whatever is intended to be learned. I proceed to what we call learning outcomes, learning outcomes. Learning outcomes basically is expectation for a student who is able to pass accounting, who is able to pass accounting. The key things that is expected that you should be able to do. One is to prepare what we call prepare books of original entries, books of original entries, or the books of the prime entries, we have in the basic ledgers, should be able to prepare ledgers under the double entry concept, under what you call the double entry concept. So that is the first thing that we need to expect altogether. But very key as well to learners, very key, you need to understand how we derive accounting. Let's say, for example, at the end of the day, you're in an organization that is very fluid. You get to an organization, you don't know what to do, or maybe you have your own accounting. You're asking yourself, where does accounting start? Accounting basically starts with the transactions. Starts with the transaction. From those transactions, we know the source documents. We have the source documents. From those source documents, we can prepare what we call books of original entries. And then we can shift to the ledgers. From the ledgers, we can come ledgers. When preparing those ledgers, we have the books of, we prepare them using the book of the concept that we call double entry concept. Basically, in accounting, we say that for every transaction, there's what we call the debit and the credit transaction. Every transaction, let's say, for example, in layman's language, if I go to the bank and withdraw money from my account, what happens is that I affect my bank, and at the same time, I affect my cash. What happens to my bank? My bank is reducing. What happens to my cash? My cash is increasing. That will be able to tackle under double entry. And this concept of double entry is very key to accountants. Accountants must be able to understand what that concept is. Because when you're also solving the final accounts, when it comes to final accounts after preparing the trial balance, and you're moving to the final accounts, that is the P&L and the statement of financial position, double entry is key. So that is the first thing that as learners, when by the time it will be the semester end, you should be able to sort the ledgers and the books of original entry. Number two, basic financial statement, what we call the basic financial statement, what we call the basic financial statement. For what? Number one, for sole trader. Sole trader, number one is me and you. Are you able to prepare those financial statements for the sole trader? We have the limited companies. We have the limited companies. Are we able to do that? And finally, we can also talk about partnership. And I say that for HED1, and now this partnership, this will be basics for the partnership, not detailed. But now for the HED2, it's a little bit detailed because we have concepts of what we call concept of partners retiring, partners being admitted into the partnership, but also at the same time, we have the solutions. That is now for the HED2 and the CPA1. But for the HED1, that is simply basics that you're going to have in terms of partnership, how we form those. Again, also we expect that comply with regulatory authority in accounting field. You should be able to comply, what we call comply with what we call the regulatory authority, complying with regulatory authorities, that is authorities that are in charge of accounting boards, IFRS, you are able to comply with that in preparation of accounting. Again, analysis of financial statements, analysis of financial financial statements. These are basically statements, these are basically the ratios when you're between liquidity ratios and other ratios. But I emphasize on this that for HED1, this will not be part of what you do, but very important that we learn it. Because if you learn it for HED1, when you get to HED2, it will be much easier for you to solve that. Then lastly, what is expected for the learner? We can talk about basic understanding of public sector. Basic understanding of the public sector. What do you call the public sector accounting? Basic understanding of the public sector accounting. So at the end of this unit, this is my expectation that the students that I have, both physical and online, and precisely online, not physical, that this is what I expect that the learners should be equipped at the end of the unit. So we get to the content of the course, the content of the course, the content of the course. That is the course outline. I hope you put that down. Can I have that? Do we have that? Mag and Tanui. Tuko sawa Tanui and Mag. Tuko sawa. If we are there, we respond. Tuko sawa. We must respond so that we know where we are. Asante Mag. So I want us to go to the content. The content, I can wrap this so that we proceed to the content and what we expect in this unit. Content and what we expect in this unit. So that is the syllabus to the content. Content stroke syllabus. So as we go through this, I want us to know that we have about 12 topics. About 12 topics to cover. We just put those topics down, 12 topics to cover. We have about 12 topics to cover. So the first topic is introduction to accounting. We'll piece up everything, but we put the topics down. That is introduction to accounting. That is the first topic that we have. Introduction to accounting. That will be our very first topic. And indeed, that should be where we start from. We cannot start from down, but we have to start from this, because before you get to learn anything about accounting, before you calculate anything, you have to understand what accounting is. But on that, the first thing that we're going to talk about on this is nature, what we call nature, and scope of accounting. Nature and scope of accounting. Nature and scope of accounting. What is accounting? Scope, purpose. We just say purpose. We call it purpose of accounting. What is the purpose of accounting? Why should you account even yourself as learners? One of the things that basically learners assume and not actually take notice of is the importance of these concepts to you as a learner. But as we learn them in this class, you're not only going to apply it whenever you are, but you must remember that you are also applying it to your own life. So nature and the purpose of accounting. We'll understand why is accounting important? What is the benefit of accounting? What is this accounting? What does it entail? What are the concepts that basically underlie accounting on that? We also have objectives. What do you call objectives? What do you call the objectives of what do you call the financial accounting? What do you call objectives of the financial accounting? That is on that. We have the second thing, that is elements of financial accounting. And especially when I get to now the HED2 and HED1, remember this, your questions are basically multiple questions. So these are questions that are you can be asked elements of accounting. And those are, you need to get them, you need to understand them. But maybe for CPA, such a question, maybe it's more rare. More questions are centered towards calculation. But now for the HED, maybe just to explain HED and comes, you have the calculations, but the short structure. You calculate them and you choose Either the answer is B, A, C, or D. Then on that accounting equation. On this, we're going to talk about accounting equation. Remember this accounting equation, this forms what you call one of the statements that calls statement of financial position. Statement of financial, we call it statement of financial position. That forms a statement of financial position if you not understand that keeping equation or accounting equation. Then lastly, users of accounting information. Users of accounting information. Who are the users? Basically, the users of accounting information on that first topic, that is the introduction of accounting information. And again, I also just emphasize, we are all users of accounting information. We are all users of accounting information. Very important to have that, even in terms of interviews that you go to, the questions that are basically asked, how much salary do you earn? So sometimes it's just good to reflect on the financial statements of these companies. Maybe you go to a big company and you'll be asked, how much would you like to earn? And you say, I want to earn 6,000. But if you go through their financial, maybe before your call, you're able to understand and you're able to know when it comes to maybe paying, this is what I expect. So just go through the newspaper. If the accounts are normally presented to the public, you can easily tell how those companies or organizations are. Then number 2 is what is accounting, what we call accounting process, topic 2, process, what we call an accounting process, and system. I mentioned something very important, that where does accounting start? Accounting starts from what we call transaction. Accounting, we call it accounting cycle. It starts from transaction. After transaction, we go to the source documents. Very important, those are receipts that you get on a daily basis. When you go and buy something, you do a transaction, you buy something, very important as an accountant, keep the receipt, those are source documents. Those source documents help us to prepare what we call books of original entries or books of the prime entries. After those books, we're going to prepare the ledgers. From ledgers, we are able to prepare the trial balance. From trial balance, we can come up with the statement of profit and loss, that is the P&L, or the income statement. From that source, from that trial balance, again, we can come up with the statement of financial position, which we call the balance sheet altogether. So source documents such as, so what you need to, on these topics too, we're going to talk about source documents such as receipt, source documents such as receipt, and invoices, and what you call invoices. Source documents such as receipts and invoices on that topic too. We have what you call books of prime entries, books of prime entry, or original, what you call original entry. We also have those are petty cash, books of original petty cash, cash book, journals, and all happen original entries. Then we have ledger, and double entry concept. Double entry concept, very key to accounting. And accounting concepts, so we're going to discuss the double entry. Very important on that together. Then we have what we call trial balance. And then final financial statement, So generally, topic 2, inakwambia tu accounting procedures. Accounting inaanza na nini? Kitu hawajamention hapa ni transaction. Hizo transactions zitakupatia source documents. From source documents, you're able to prepare books of original entry of the prime interest. Na tusema hizo ni kama petty cash, cash book, you're able to prepare. From that, we have the ledgers. Ledger, you have to follow the double entry concept. From ledgers, we have the trial balance, then financial statement, those P&L, and the statement of financial position. That is topic 3. Then we have topic 2, sorry. Then we have topic 3. Topic 3 talks about regulations. What we call regulations. what you call the regulation, and other principles, and other, what you call other principles, guiding, say guiding accounting, regulations and other principles guiding accounting. On topic 3, what are those that we are going to talk about? The legal sources of regulation. Where does this regulation come from? Legal sources of regulation. Remember, accountants work under regulation. ISPAC, what is the role of ISPAC and other bodies? The legal sources of regulation. We have professional sources of regulation. Professional, what do you call the professional sources of regulation? And those are the professional bodies altogether. Those will be the professional bodies altogether. Those will be the professional bodies and international, the local bodies and international bodies altogether. We have accounting standards. We'll talk about accounting standards. We have accounting standards on that. We also have common accounting principles and concepts. Common accounting concepts, accounting concepts and principles. And lastly, we have accounting concepts and principles. We have qualities of useful accounting information. Quality of useful accounting, we call it quality of useful accounting information. That is on topic 3. Topic 4, we'll have the topic 4. We have accounting for assets, call it accounting for assets and liabilities. We'll have accounting for assets and liability. That is topic 4, accounting for assets and liability. We are going to have PPE. What do you call PPE about? PPE inamaanisha property, plant, and equipment. Under these basics that we're going to have, we're going to talk about depreciation, loss of value, depreciation, acquisition, and disposal. And basically of these things that I've talked about on PPE, how do we treat them? When you have a disposal, how do you go about it? When you have a disposal, how do we go about it? How do we go about it? When you have a disposal, how do we basically go about it? When you have a disposal, how do you go about it? We have the intangible assets. Intangible assets like the goodwill. We are going to talk about those intangible assets. Intangible asset. Then you have financial assets and financial liability. We're going to talk about financial assets and liabilities. So what are assets? What are liability? What are assets? What are liability? Examples and classification. Like when you have an asset, we know that the assets are basically broken further. We have the non-current assets, we have the current asset. When we talk about liability, we know also that we have the non-current liability and we have the current liability. We'll be able to talk about that. Then cash in hand and cash in bank. Cash in hand and cash at bank. We are going to talk about this, specifically bank reconciliation. Bank reconciliation. That is basically topic 4. Bank reconciliation. We're going to talk about trade payables. These are trade payables, the same as creditors. Trade payables. And how do you treat trade payables? How do we treat those? Are liability, trade payables, and how do you treat that? Accrued income. We have accrued income and expense, accrued, prepaid income and prepaid expense. Accrued income and prepaid expense. So basically, when we talk about things like accrued, is what you've earned, but money has not yet received. So we'll ask, how do we treat accrued income? If you have a financial statement, let's say, for example, a P&L, and you have accrued income, you've earned money, but money has not yet been received. Like, for example, you find businesses where somebody has sold, but just because money has not been received is not making that as income. So in accounting, we say that accrued income, how do we treat them? Incomes that you've already earned, like you say, you've given on credit. How would you treat it? Is it going to be part of sales or not part of sales? That is the question we're going to talk about. And precisely in accounting, we're going to deal with it. How do you treat it in the income statement? And how do you treat it in the statement of financial position? Then you have topic 5. Topic 5, that is financial. Topic 5 will basically be financial statement of sole trader. Financial statement. We have what you call the financial statement of the sole trader. We have financial statement of the sole trader. That is basically on 5, financial statement of the sole trader. And precisely on this, we're going to talk about 2 things. And in this, when you get to such topics, when you get to that, what you're going to do is format. We'll have the format here for the P&L and format for the statement of financial position. We'll simply have the formats and we do them because you will find when we've talked about assets and nini, we've talked about liability, what is liability, what is an income, what is an expense, how do you treat this accrued income. These are what now we call adjustments to the final accounts. In fact, if I do that cycle, to the same account, if we start from transaction here, we have source document, this procedure, source documents, upper. I proceed to books of original entry, I go to ledgers. From ledgers, I go to trial balance. And there's something that is always missed here. We can call it adjustments, though not always in the cycle. Adjustment to the final accounts, This is where we now adjust this accrued expenses, prepaid expenses. Then you go to the final accounts, accounts. So we move like this, and once this is done, again, you start on the transaction again. So you see the accounting cycle, how it runs. We start again on that cycle. Accounting and analyzing transaction, source document. This is the hello, source documents, books of original entry, ledgers, we go to trial balance. After going to the trial balance, there's something that is not always put there. This is adjustments to the final accounts. They're normally not depicted on that. But now we adjust those prepayments, bad debts, accrued income and expenses, those are adjusted, and then you have the final accounts. After you complete this, again, you start again. You now start with the transaction, you get those documents, you go to entry. So it's just a cycle that keeps on rotating. Together, Mark and Grace Wamusi. Tuko sawa Mark and Grace Wamusi. So this will just be, on this, once we have that, we are going to just prepare the 2 statements. That is statement of profit and loss. Statement of profit and loss. Then we have statement of financial position. I want to clarify something because we have students who are ATD. We also have students who are CPA. We're going to learn these financial statements as a whole. But you realize in application now for what were ATD in this class, they're going to be applied piecemeal. So the umepatiwa financial statement, but a very small financial statement. uko na expenses 3 ama 2, unaambiwa find that. Saa zingine umeambiwa on the statement of financial position, what you TD, you're simply told to find the total current asset. So on those things, nikifundisha those financial statement, one of the things that I will also be trying and emphasize, in this question, ATD you can be asked total non-current asset. So if you ask the total non-current asset, hiyo unapata too easy. If you ask current asset, this is what you need to give. If you ask liability, this is what you need to give. But for the CPA, you have questions that will touch on the whole financial statement, that is topic 5. Then we move to topic 6. Topic 6 will be on partnership. That is what we call financial statement of partnership. Financial statement, what we call the financial statement of partnership. Financial statement of the partnership. Financial statement of the partnership. Partnership deed or agreement. Partnership or agreement. Very important, especially ATD and those who are doing counts, but I know counts are not here. What is a partnership agreement? What does it do? When there's no partnership agreement, how do we handle partnership? How would you handle partnership where we do not have a partnership agreement? You are 2 partners, but there's no agreement. How do we handle profit and loss? Very key. You can ask maybe ATD. In the present way, when you don't have agreements, partnership deed, or we call it partnership deed. Let me just add there. Or agreements. How it spells out how you're going to share the profits, how you're going to manage, are we together, the partnership. So that's very key. Then we say statement of profit and loss. Statement of profit and loss. So NACPA, I just want students to understand. That's why this one is just as the same as what you are going to do in Sole Trader. It's going to be the same concept. But now what is added to partnership is an appropriation. This is the only new thing that you're going to have there, an appropriation. And appropriation will only touch on a number of things. When we make interest on drawing that are given when partners draw, interest on capital when partners contribute capital, and salaries that are paid to partners. So after getting profit and loss is when you get the appropriation. So, but the same financial profit and loss is just the same concept as that. Then we have partners capital account, partners capital account, and what you call the current, account. Partners capital account and current account. And the good thing about accounting, especially for the CPA, answers are not being marked. Your entries are being marked. So format is very key. As a student of CPA, if you do a format, that in itself is a plus. You can fail to get the answers down here and still have the whole question. If the question was 5, it's still part of question not a 5. But now for the ATD and counts, you have to be very correct. Very precise in your answer. Are we together? So then you also talk about statement of financial position. So in order to prepare this, you need this partner's current account. Partner's current account and partner's capital account forms what? Capital for the partnership. So the reason why these ones are very important, you cannot get statement of financial position without getting partner's capital account and partner's current account. So that forms the basis of the statement of financial position. Yes. You get the capital for the partnership. You cannot get it statement of financial position without this. But for the CPA, you still score something. Maybe you'll not score this, but I'm saying the whole you cannot balance without this partner's capital account and current account. We talk about accounting presentation. Okay, just note accounting presentation when there is change in profit and loss. So under this, nimesema 81. These ones are not there. 81, we only need to know the basics. Then hapa kuna changes in partnership. partnership. That is for the CPA partnership. So I'm going to change in P, profit and loss, change in the profit and loss. In the profit and loss, we have admission, comma, retirement, and dissolution. And what to call dissolution. But not a TD1. TD1 is equal to basic. TD2, remember, is it changes in the CPM to final. But for TD1, SOMA is so that when you go to TD2, you're much better. So then we have 7, what you call financial statement of account. Financial statement of a company. We'll have financial statement of account of a company. Financial statement of a company. Financial statement of a company. So again, you realize something about this. The reason why we talk about this outline, so that when you start, there's understanding. The financial statements still take the same format, but now sources of capital for company is what is different. When you talk about sources of company, how does company finance? Finance, where does it get its capital? We know that through shares, people buy companies. So some of the sources of company, those we are going to talk about ordinary shares, we are going to talk about preference shares. Sometimes company finance through loans, that is debentures altogether. So we're going to talk about that because companies funding now, that's what brings the difference, and sole trader in this. How does the company does its funding altogether? So the first concept that we're going to talk about, ordinary share capital, share premium, we'll need to know as the first basics under company altogether. Then we are going to talk about the statement of profit and loss on this. Those are statement of profit and loss. Statement of profit and loss. I've mentioned the basics: share capital, share preference, issuing of shares, bonus, share premium. I've not written it here, but remember those are the first basics that you need to know. Other comprehensive income, or statement of equity, other comprehensive income, other comprehensive income. Now, niwapatie siri moja before I wrap that. How will I know, for example, I have a company? Company is equal to LTD. And a very common thing that I think I will teach it because of TD1 and 2, what is a private limited company? What is the formation? How do you form membership that form private limited company? Membership that form public limited company. We'll talk about that because those are questions that are being asked. I think TD1 and 2, but presently TD1. I know TD1, that is very common to that. So the other statement of comprehensive income, the statement of equity, statement of financial position, statement of financial position, that's the balance sheet position. The same concept. This concept is just the same. The format is the same. So that items ndio zinakuwa tofauti. Then you have what we call the statement of cash flow. So 81, I'm finding cash flow, but 82 kuna cash flow and CPA. So tukiweka hiyo syllabus, remember you don't do cash flow. Cash flow is only 82 na CPA. Ndio nafanya hiyo. Then we can have 8 manufacturing. Manufacturing again, not 81. Statement, what do you call the statement of manufacturing company. Statement of manufacturing company. The statement of manufacturing company or manufacturing entity, just call it entity, because we have many dimensions. We have manufacturing that takes form of partnership, form of a sole trader, and form of a limited company. That's why the word entity is very key. So we say that manufacturing statement of production, manufacturing statement of production. Manufacturing statement of production. We have what we call statement of profit and loss. This will be new things. This is something, the only thing that is new. how do you make production, manufacturing statements of production? Then you have a statement of profit and loss, statement of profit and loss, statement of profit and loss, and then you have the statement of financial position. Again, 81, 𝗬𝐶𝑔𝐬𝐬, hiyo si yenyu, manufacturing si yenyu. Manufacturing is not there for 81. Why? That is not your part. Attend it so that when you get to 2, you're able to do that. Then we have 9. We can have 9 and I give you a small break after 9. So 9 is what you call statement of a non-profit making entity. Statement of non-profit making entity. Statement of the non-profit entity. Statement of the non-profit making entity. These are organizations that are established not to make profit, but the social well-being of its members. For example, when you talk about the churches, that should be non-profit making. Or when you talk about social clubs altogether, 𝗬𝗲𝗪𝗪 Parkland Sports Club, these are not supposed to make profit. I checked the video on my end. What is wrong, Grace? Let me know what is wrong.
You are hanging, but now it's fine.
Okay, hold on. So statement of non-profit making organization. And you say that these are basically organizations that are basically established for the social well-being of members and not to make profit. And you'll see now, when you prepare their statement, we call it income and expenditure account. We have a number of accounts that we're going to prepare. The cash book for this income and expenditure account. We're also going to prepare what we call the statement of financial position. But under income and expenditure account, hatutakuwa na profit ama loss. Tutasema if the incomes are more than expense, tutasema ni surplus. If the expenditure is more than the income, so we're going to talk about deficit. However, kuna number of things on that those non-profit making organizations, especially this, you can find the non-profit making organization. If you look at the Nairobi Sports Club, they have restaurants. For those activities, you can now make either tutakuwa profit and loss. But now for the main income and expenditure account, hatuna profit or loss. Tumeelewana? Are we together? For those activities, because you can have organizations that don't make profit, but they have you have churches that have cafeteria. For those cafeteria, when you're preparing there, what is happening? You will have profit or loss. But now for the organization, if the incomes are more than the expenditure, we have a surplus. If the expenditure is more than an income, now we have what we call a deficit altogether. So on this, before we go to break, we say objectives of non-profit making organization. The objectives of non-profit making organization. Statement of income and expenditure. What we call the statement of income and expenditure. Remember, at Harvard, we still need double entry. You see, double entry will run you through the accounting, the all of accounting. When you're adjusting entries, that double entry will assist you. So those basics are very important. Those basics will be very important. Then you have the statement of financial position on this. What do you call the statement of financial position? We call it the statement of financial position on this. So we can have a small break. As we have that break, then we come back and summarize on that course outline, and I give you the modalities that we're going to take to cover that syllabus. Because I don't intend for us to copy notes. We can work on handouts, then we calculate. Handouts, we just come with handouts, we discuss, we calculate. Because if we write notes, we are not going to finish. So we can have our small break. Is that okay? I can see Tanui. I can see Maggie, Grace. If we are there, we just respond with a yes. we respond to this. We can have a small break, then we come back. We need to record that. Objectives of analyzing the financial statement. So we're going to talk about a number of ratios, financial ratios, We have financial ratios. And those financial ratios we have what we call liquidity, profitability, solvency. We have solvency, efficiency, invest value and cash flow categories. Those ratios we're going to talk about, the number that we will provide on that. And lastly, we have the last topic. I hope that there can be seen the last topic as we summarize for today. Last topic, that will be accounting. Accounting in the public sector. That is 12, accounting in the public sector. Accounting in the public sector. We have accounting in the public sector. Accounting in the public sector. We are going to talk about features. Features of public sector. Features of the public sector. Features of the public sector. The features of the public sector. Features of the public sector. Structures of the public sector. National county government. Structures. Structure of the public sector. The structures of the public sector. When you talk about the structures of the public sector, tunaongea kuhusu national government, county government, state corporation, departments. How do they prepare their accounts altogether? We are also going to talk about regulation, and what you call oversight. Public Sector Accounting Standards Board, PSB is of Public Sector Accounting Standards Board. That it's regulation and oversight. Public Sector Accounting Standards Board that now regulate the public sectors altogether. Objective of public sector accounting standards. Objectives of public sector. Objective of public sector. Objectives of the public sector. Financial statements, and standard. Financial statements and standards. That is the IPSAS board. That is the IPSAS. That is the objective of public sector accounting standards boards. And lastly, we have accounting techniques in public sectors. Accounting techniques in public sectors. Public sector. So what are these techniques that we have in the public sector? Accounting techniques in the public sector. Commitment fund accounting. We have commitment. Fund accounting. You can be asked, what is a commitment accounting? What is a fund accounting? Budgeting, accruals, budgeting, cash, accrual, etc. We're basically going to talk about that on topic 12. So if you look at those topics, specifically, we have those 12 topics. We've been able to touch on these topics, been able to touch on them, probably not so much detail, because in order for us to touch them detail, we need to do the calculation and see how they work. But at least we know what we expect. And this is always the first part of everything, that we discuss what to expect. We come up with a representative. Grace, can you be our representative? Grace, I'm a Mag, I'm a Tanui, the online student. One of them, as we're in group, so we can be liaising. We know that these notes should be given, at least one person to represent, who will go to voluntarily accept that position as our representative. Who is going to do that? Nani atakuwa representative? Grace. Uko sawa na hiyo? Ama Mag, ama Tanui. So Grace is our representative. So Grace, you will be liaising with you. My number is in the group. If you look at this group, you see the number. So you can always call me that this is supposed to be given, but I'm supposed to give you notes from Tuesday. So I send those notes, you read them, the basics, the notes will have. So when I come, we just open the handout, we discuss. What is accounting? This is accounting, and you see it. You don't write, because if you write, if we decide to go the way of writing, we'll not be able to. We just discuss, we finish. We go to where there's calculation, we start on the calculation. But now for discussions like the introduction, we shouldn't take much time altogether. If you can take an hour to discuss that, we'll pick something else. That would be okay. Send your Grace. So represent on Tuesday. You need to get the first batch. I will not give the notes as I gave the other time, but I'll give the notes piecemeal. I think that would be the best. If I give the whole notes, some people will go away. Yes. So I'll give notes piecemeal. I think for the start, I'll give topic 1 and 2, 3. Those ones I can give. But topic 1 and 2, that should be okay. So I expect topic 1 and 2, that is on Tuesday, notes for topic 1 and 2. So that when we meet, we just discuss. We know major areas in terms of what you need to do in exam, kama watu wa CPA, we know the major areas, and major areas, I will be able to start with the major areas. This basics tutafanya haraka, then we go to the major areas. Then we should be able to finish in March, so that we also have time to revise, because that revision is very important. But again, also I insist on this. What I insist on as learners, this is you must practice. If you don't practice, that's why ukifanya assignment, we cannot make it as we follow up on you, but you should just deliberately know that ukipatiwa assignment, make sure you see how that assignment, either you sit as a group ama utumie mwalimu to know whether you've done the assignment correctly. Because one of the things that I assure you that you'll be able to see that if mwalimu is doing them in class, it looks so easy. Lakini wakati uko nayo peke yako, you realize that there's another dimension. But the more you practice again, the much better you become. And there's a concept nataka tunafundisha from the start. Your concept is not normally taught, but I want to teach it very fast. Timing. Practice to be doing questions within time. Mapema, you can be a very good student, but still fail in an exam because you don't know how to manage your time. Can you try managing your time? As you give an assignment, usifanye assignment siku tatu. Sema, I will do this question, like you do 5 questions, kama CPA. For ATD and CAMS, is only 50 questions. But now for CPA, you have 5 questions, 20 marks each. If the 5 questions, you're supposed to do them in 3 hours. So you can be doing those questions, but you realize that when you're doing assignment, you do 1 question in 1 hour. In an exam, you may not have that. So I want us to try and practice as we do assignments again. The reason why this introduction is very important is to connect us to students to a place where they know what is expected. Try and manage to do questions within time. If you can be doing questions at start, maybe you may not be doing them within time, but tukianza start doing question moja na 40 minutes. Begin to reduce this. Unafanya question moja within 30 minutes. And then as time goes, you're able to manage to pass exam, because exam iko na components mingi. Number 1 is studying, practicing, but again also there's an aspect of time. If you don't look at time, that aspect may lock you out of passing exam. So these things, all of them, I want us to practice as we move. All of them we practice as we move. Because you can be a very good student, but still fail exam. An extremely very good student. Every question in class, unajua how it goes, but then at the end of the day, ufanye swali mbili. Upate 40 over 40, and the question pass mark is 50. Still you don't pass. So thank you so much. Now is your time. If you have something to share, maybe a comment, anything that you need to be clarified, then you can now ask, and we respond to it. But we insist that you try and attend class.